warm welcome to State of Business on Art Television. I'm Heshain Ali and let's have a look at the headlines first. Opposition leader urges not to sign the MCC agreement during the election period. Elections Commission warns public service officers of election rules. News in detail. Opposition leader Mahinda Rajapaksa urges the government that no agreement should be hurriedly signed with any foreign government just days before a decisive presidential election in the country. Former President Rajapaksa made these remarks, issuing a statement to the media this morning. Opposition leader Mahinda Rajapaksa in a statement to the media says that the cabinet has decided to enter into a pact with the Millennium Challenge Corporation of the USA, and he has also been informed that the government intention is to sign this agreement before the presidential elections. Opposition leader Rajapaksa says that it is now just over 2 weeks to the presidential elections and they wish to stress in the strongest possible terms that no agreement should be hurriedly signed with a foreign government just days before a decisive presidential election. He also stresses that any such agreement should be signed, if at all, only after the presidential election. The opposition leader highlights that the contents of this purposed agreement are not known even to parliamentarians, let alone the general public. Therefore, he also urges that before this agreement is signed, its text should be made public and presented to the parliament and debated. Rajapaksa stresses that they emphatically state that the government should not sign this agreement behind the backs of the general public and the parliament. Postal voting for the upcoming presidential election started today. News on that much more will be brought to you by the Next President segment. Postal voting for the presidential election 2019 began today morning and the voters were allowed to cast their postal votes from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. Thus, as per the records of the Election Commission, a total number of 659,030 voters are eligible to cast their postal votes. Thus, the postal voting of public servants and military employees will go on till tomorrow, while the postal voting of the officers of district secretaries, election officers and police stations is scheduled to be held on November 4th and 5th. The officers of the Election Commission and the voters who are unable to cast their ballot on the day can cast the vote on November 7th from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. at their respective district election offices. The Election Commission said the voters whose postal vote applications were rejected are allowed to cast their ballot as a normal vote on the 16th of November. Meanwhile, addressing a press conference organized by the Commission of Elections, its chairman Mahinda Deshapriya said today that commands prohibiting public service officers from posting photographs of their vote on Facebook are issued. He also said that certain state officials have continued to post photographs of their vote on social media despite the ban. However, if the Election Commission finds the individual who posted such photos, they will be subjected to jail term of at least 3 years. In the meantime, Elections Commission said that plastic ballot boxes were earlier decided to use, but that decision was withdrawn considering the high cost. Thus, waterproof card boxes worth of 1,500 rupees will be used at the ballot boxes, the Commission added. New Democratic Front's presidential candidate Minister Sajith Premadasa vows to ensure the national security and sovereignty of the country while ensuring religious coexistence of the country. The NDF candidate made these pledges at the launch of the election manifesto today in Kandy. Prior to the beginning of the ceremony, Premadasa visited the chief incumbent of Malwata chapter, Most Venerable Tibbatue Sri Siddhartha Sumangala Thero, and presented the manifesto named Sajith's Social Revolution. The event to launch the manifesto took place in Kandy this morning under the auspices of the NDF presidential candidate Sajith Premadasa, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe, and other ministers and parliamentarians of the alliance. Explaining extensively on the proposal, State Minister Eran Wickremaratne specified that their candidate's manifesto includes 3 significant pillars such as a strong nation, a competitive economy, and just society. He also stated Sajith Premadasa's government will put a full stop to drugs, corruption, and religious extremism. Creating a sustainable development and conducive environment for the businessmen, improving the digital-based economy are some of the key promises mentioned in the manifesto, he further added. State Minister Wickremesinghe also noted that Sri Lanka has not properly tapped into the research and development sector and more attention will be paid for the area under a new regime.
It's about strengthening the nation and having a competitive economy or a market and creating a socially fair, just society. These are the three pillars. There were many academics, there were professionals, there were chambers and business groups, and many other people, including suggestions that we got from the public that we incorporated in actually building this manifesto in keeping with the vision that our presidential candidate Sajith Premadasa has.
Thus, addressing the election manifesto launching, NDF presidential candidate Sajith Premadasa made some key vows pertaining to national security and on many other areas.
විවිධ බලවේග විවිධ පාර්ශව කරුවන් අභ්‍යන්තර න්‍යාය පත්‍රයට ඇඟිලි ගසන්නට උත්සාහ දරන
at time when various foreign forces attempt to involve in matters related to national sovereignty. I vow to safeguard the national peace and sovereignty while giving due respect to all religions of the country. I ensure that our government will also pay due recognition to the people's choice. Meanwhile, I will make sure that the leaders of my rule will act as people's servants and not as sole rulers of the land, but as the temporary rulers of the country. Selfless leaders accessible to the common man will be under my rule.
United People's Freedom Alliance Sri Lanka Freedom Party and Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna signed an agreement to form a new coalition this morning. The new coalition has been named Sri Lanka Nidahas Podujana Samdana or Sri Lanka Freedom People's Alliance. 17 political parties including the United People's Freedom Alliance, Sri Lanka Freedom Party, Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, National Freedom Front, Pivituru Hela Urumaya and Mahajana Eksat Peramuna have joined the new alliance. The other parties and the civil organizations which joined in the alliance are Communist Party of Sri Lanka, Lanka Sama Samaj Party, Democratic Left Front, Ceylon Workers Congress, Elam People's Democratic Party, National Congress, Desha Vimukti Janata Party, Tamil Makkal Vidutale Pulikal, United People's Party, Vijayadharani Jatika Sabhava and Muthubokkut Tamilar Kachi. The ceremony to sign the agreement took place at the Foundation Institute with the auspices of SLPP presidential candidate Gotabaya Rajapaksa and the leaders of the other political parties who are to be part of the new alliance. The political sources connected to the major parties claim that the new party will contest under the symbol chair for the elections in near future. Addressing the occasion, SLPP presidential candidate Gotabaya Rajapaksa said that the political parties with different political ideologies have been united as patriotic political parties to work towards the common goal of making a prosperous Sri Lanka. Stay tuned for more news right after this commercial break. Welcome back after the break. Sri Lanka's Loves Holding says that it is planning to list more local and foreign subsidiaries on the Colombo Stock Exchange in the future. This was informed yesterday when Loves Power Limited rang the opening bell for trading to celebrate the listings of its shares and the commencement of trading at Colombo Stock Exchange. This homegrown enterprise was started in 1995 and is present in almost 20 unique and significant sectors in Sri Lanka and overseas. As a part of the restructuring, Loves shareholders were promised listing of the 3 subsidiaries. Loves currently has Bangladesh's 4th largest LPG operation, which brought in 9.2 billion rupees of the group's 24 billion rupee revenue in 2019. Thus, addressing the event, Chief Executive Officer of the Colombo Stock Exchange, Rajiva Bandaranaike, noted that Loves Holding is the 290th listed company at CSE.
Your company represents a very important sector in the economy, that being one of the renewable energy sector. And as a company providing a yeoman service in operating probably one of the largest, if not the largest solar power plant and several mini hydro plants around the country. Loves, as we all know, is now a household name in Sri Lanka, serving millions of Sri Lankans across diverse sectors, and is a business that is, if I may use the term, homegrown with a truly Sri Lankan identity.
Loves Holdings Chairman and Chief Executive W.H.K. Vagapiti addressing the bell ringing ceremony at the Colombo Stock Exchange yesterday highlighted that Loves Power is contributing to 51% utility-based solar power generation in the country, with many more in the pipeline.
At the time we listed our first entity in 2010, we mentioned that there will be so many other companies that are suitable to be listed in the Colombo Stock Exchange. Today, the tiny little homegrown enterprises that we started in 1995 has almost 20 odd very unique and significant sectors, both in Sri Lanka as well as in overseas. And we have become a multinational energy company, and our last brand is well accepted not only in Sri Lanka but in many other countries, including Bangladesh. As a Sri Lankan, I am very proud that we have become a household name in many other countries, not only in LPG but also in many other industrial products. So we have so many good companies to be listed. Last Power, we started as a small segment in our portfolio by getting into the hydropower sector, and today we are contributing almost 51% of utility-based solar power generation of this country, and many more in the pipeline. We have immensely benefited after listing our first entity in the Colombo Stock Exchange. So we are going to list many more companies in the future. So that is one strategy entrepreneurial firms like us that very effectively implement in order to continue the business beyond the lifespan of founders like us.
The National Lotteries Board yesterday launched a new lottery named Enterprise Sri Lanka Wealth Fund to upkeep the government's interest-subsidized loan program Enterprise Sri Lanka. The first ticket of the lottery was presented to the Finance Minister Mangala Samaravira by the General Manager of the National Lotteries Board, Darshana Vijayasrivardhana, yesterday at the Finance Ministry premises. The lottery, which will be drawn 3 times a week on Wednesday, Friday and Sunday, will award 80 million rupees as the first prize. Thus, the proceeds from the Enterprise Sri Lanka Wealth Fund lottery will be credited to the Treasury for the implementation of Enterprise Sri Lanka. The Embassy of Sri Lanka in Manila, in cooperation with the Sri Lanka Tourism Promotion Bureau, represented the World Travel Expo last week at the SMX Convention Center, Manila, Pasir City, Philippines. World Travel Expo 2019 was formally inaugurated with the ribbon cutting and opening ceremony attended by Councillor of the 2nd District of Pasir City Joey Calixto Isdro, Ambassador Designate of Sri Lanka to the Philippines Shobini Gunasekaro, and many other officials. The So Sri Lanka booth, decorated to showcase the best of Sri Lankan tourism, has attracted thousands of interested visitors who inquired about Sri Lanka for their next travel destination. The visitors to the booth were keen to explore packages on wildlife parks, culture and wellness tourism. World Travel Expo 2019, which attracted approximately 20,000 visitors, is one of the platforms in the Philippines for Sri Lanka to promote its tourism to the rapidly rising number of Filipinos traveling abroad for leisure and new adventures. In fact, as observed in the years of 2018 to 2019, Filipinos are constantly in the top in terms of visitor arrivals in Sri Lanka from the Southeast Asian region. World Travel Expo also brought together local and international destination tourist attractions and organizations in the tourism business relations, such as hotels, airlines, cruise, tour operators, and travel agencies. Stay tuned for stock updates right after this break. Welcome back. Trading at Colombo Stock Exchange ended on a positive note today. The all-share price index gained 32.97 points to close at 5,990.24, and the S&P SL20 gained 29.78 points to close at 2,980.11. The turnover was 1.2 billion rupees and over 70 million shares were traded. Up next are forex rates. And that's all news for today. Do join us tomorrow with State of Business. Until then, take care. Good night.